Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be explaining the concept of consumer surplus. So consumer surplus is the difference between the maximum price consumers are willing to pay for a good or service versus the price they actually pay. It represents the extra value or benefit that consumers receive when they buy a product for less than they were prepared to spend. In simpler terms, consumer surplus is the amount of money a buyer saves because the market price is lower than what they believe the product is worth. If you would have paid more but didn't have to, that difference is your consumer surplus. So this graph actually helps illustrate consumer surplus. The downward sloping line labeled D is the demand curve, which shows how much consumers are willing to pay for different quantities of a product. The upward sloping line S is the supply curve, which represents the price producers are willing to accept. These two lines meet at point E, which is the market equilibrium. At this point, the equilibrium price is shown by P, and the equilibrium quantity is shown by Q. This is where the amount consumers want to buy equals the amount producers want to sell. Now look at that gray shaded triangle above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. This shaded area represents consumer surplus. Every buyer in this area was willing to pay more than the market price, but because the market price settled at P, they paid less than their maximum willingness to pay. The difference between what they were willing to pay and what they actually paid is the extra benefit that they receive. For example, imagine you want to buy a concert ticket and you're willing to pay $150 for it. When you go to purchase the ticket, you find that the market price is only $100. Since you only paid $100 instead of the $150 you were willing to spend, you receive $50 of consumer surplus. That $50 represents the value you gained from getting a better deal than you expected. So consumer surplus is important because it helps economists measure how much value consumers receive from participating in a market. The larger the shaded area on the graph, the greater the benefit consumers receive.